Welcome to the No Te Rindas Intermediate English Podcast, home of the Tenaz Intermediate English app, disponible en noterrindaspodcast.us. Este es un podcast para hispanohablantes que quieren mejorar su comprensión auditiva del inglés de los Estados Unidos. Somos dos hermanos americanos con raíces mexicanas. Soy Gabo o Gabe, aquí con mi hermano mayor Goyo o Greg. What's going on, Greg?
Well, good afternoon, bro.
Hey.
It's almost the end of the semester, so the students will be gone at the end of this week, and we'll have some time to recharge our batteries. And immediately after locking up my classroom, I get to see you. I'm going to Chattanooga to our campground, and we'll get to hang out. I'm excited.
Yay! Yay! I'm excited too. We rent a very small little cabin, and what we're doing is often called glamping. My friends that camp say, Gabe, you're not camping, you're glamping.
That's right.
Do you know what glamping is?
Yeah, we have air conditioning, we have nice bathrooms, so it's not primitive, it's very comfortable.
Right, so it's glamorous camping.
Glamorous camping, that's right. What's our topic today?
Today, we were going to talk about some things that can be a little bit confusing in English. We're going to talk about some phrases with some, with few and a few, with little, and with a little. These are things that literally relate to quantities, typically talking about a lot of things or a very small number of things.
So something like algunos or unos, and perhaps even un poco in certain cases.
Why don't we go over some vocabulary words like we sometimes do? The first phrase that may not be familiar to you is when we're going to talk about something being left over. I think we've talked about leftovers before, which is when you have food remaining after your meal that you eat another day. But we're going to talk about leftover en el sentido de sobrante. So like I might say, we have some apples left over from the party, right? Tenemos algunas manzanas sobrantes. So another word that you may not immediately know are some construction-related words. So we have drywall and stainless steel and zinc-coated screws. So we talk about drywall. We're going to talk about stainless steel screws and zinc-coated screws. These are all just different types of tornillos. Another word we've used before, but we want to review, is a ladder, que es una escalera. Now, in English, we have two different words for stairs and for ladder. So stairs are something that you walk up in a house, that este tipo de escalera. But we're going to be talking about a ladder, which is something that you can move around and climb up. It's very portable, something you can take with you or put in the back of your truck, for example. And the last one is the phrase under the weather. This is an expression that means enfermo. So if I'm feeling under the weather, or if I say Greg is under the weather today, it means he's sick. So that might be a reason that you might not be at work. Why isn't Bob at work today? He's feeling under the weather. We say that quite a bit.
Yeah, he's under the weather. So let's start off with these two adjectives, which are also called, in this case, determiners. Which two are we illustrating, Gabe?
Some and any.
That's right, some and any. Some and any can describe the same situation, but with a different value. If the value is positive, if you're making a declaración, if you're saying something is true, you will use some. If you are saying something is not true, then you would tend to use any. And if you're asking a question, which is called an interrogative, then you would use any and some. Either one can be used in certain cases, and with time, your ear will pick up the difference.
And that's the thing. It will start to sound natural. What we'll do is we'll do an example, a conversation, and then we'll kind of break down what Goyo was talking about as far as some being used as a positive, any being used as a negative, and that you can use both of them to ask questions about quantities.
Welcome to my shop. How may I help you today?
Hi, I have a bunch of items I'm looking for. Let's see. Do you have any wood screws?
Yeah, we have some. What are you building?
Well, I've got a couple of projects here. I need to install some shelves in my living room, and I'm building a ladder to go up to a tree house that I'm making.
Oh, okay. Well, for the shelves, los estantes, you're going to need some drywall screws. And I have some that are 1 1/4 inches and some that are 1 5/8 inches, and those are on aisle 6 in big buckets. Looking over there, you see them hanging on the left, big blue buckets. Now, for the ladder that goes up to the treehouse, are you using treated lumber?
Yeah, I have some of that left over from another project I did last year.
Okay, well, you're going to need something that's resistant to the rain and the weather. I recommend stainless steel screws to go with that treated lumber, and unfortunately, I don't have any stainless steel screws right now.
You don't have any? Let's see. What about zinc-coated screws? Do you got any of those?
No, I'm sorry, but I'm out of those as well. I had some earlier today, but some fellows came in and bought all that I had. I don't have any, like, as of 90 minutes ago, man.
Oh, I'm just too late. I just gotten here earlier in the day. Well, I'll get some drywall screws today, and I'll come back next Saturday for the other project.
Sounds great. Okay, so we're hoping that you can distinguish between the positive and the negative and the question value of these adjectives, these determiners. So I have some of what you are looking for in my store. That's a statement, right? Una declaración. We're saying something affirmatively. I have some of what you're looking for in my store. But if I'm saying something negative, it really sounds better to say, I don't have any of that kind of screw. I don't have any of that type of fastener, for example. And then you can ask, do you have any drywall screws? Do you have any drywall screws? But you could also say, hey, do you have some drywall screws? I think the second one, Gabe, sounds a little less formal, but they're both fine.
This is starting to make sense to me now. If I'm talking about a positive thing, I do have this thing, I'm going to say I have some, but if I don't have it, I'm going to say I don't have any.
That's right. And moving on to our second set of examples, we're going to contrast a few versus many. A few versus many. So a few would be positive. You're making a statement. Many can also be positive. You're making a statement. But on the negative side, if you're saying something is not the case, not true, then you need to say many. Here comes an example. Wow, Gabe. I see that you have a few more tattoos than the last time I saw you. You look like, I don't know, some kind of circus performer or something.
Hey, easy, man. I don't have that many tattoos. Besides, I'd rather have a few tattoos than a few extra pounds like you pig. You've been eating more than a few donuts, I see.
Shut up, dude. I have not eaten that many. This shirt is, it's just a little too small. That's all. It's just a small shirt.
I don't want to hear any excuses. That shirt was big on you last summer, you fatty.
Cállate, güey. The shirt has shrunk. It's shrunk in the dryer.
So did you notice how Greg lied? No. Did you notice how Greg said you have a few more tattoos? So that is a positive statement. You have something, right? In this case, I have a few more tattoos than I did the last time that I saw him. We want you to know that many can also be used in that case. Like if he said you have many more tattoos, that also makes sense. But obviously that would indicate that I had a lot of tattoos as compared to maybe just a small number as compared to the last time he saw me. But it doesn't sound natural to say, I don't have that few tattoos in response to Greg. We would say, I don't have that many tattoos, which again,
I don't have that many tattoos. That's right.
It's going to start to sound, feel natural as you hear it over and over. I don't have that many.
And while we're talking about that, please check our blog. I'm going to put an article up there with lots of examples of these expressions in Hollywood, on TV, etc., where you can click on links and listen to many different kinds of people and accents saying things like a few or some or many, etc. So check that out at noterindaspodcast.us. And one other thing I'd like to say about the word few. Few in English generally means 3 or more. You have one. I have one apple. I have 2 apples. I have a few apples. Most people would not say 2 apples is a few. I found one place on the internet where few was represented, Gabe, by 2, but all my life, I think probably in your life as well, few has meant 3 or more.
Right. And in the Spanish speaking world, I think a few is often that the way we use it, it's often used as un par de, right? So they'll say a pair of, but they don't literally mean 2 things. You know, rompimos un par de ventanas. Rene says that, or the Residente says that. And he means we broke a few windows. He doesn't mean we broke 2. So it's interesting that when we talk about, if we really mean just 2 things, most of the time we're going to say a couple, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. A couple of windows.
I ate a couple of donuts. That would mean, in most cases, literally, I meant 2. I ate 2 donuts. And then you might say, I ate a few donuts last night. That's why I'm not hungry.
Yeah, that would be my case. I ate a few donuts. I ate a few donuts several times yesterday. All right. So to wrap up, we see the positive here is a few. So, for example, you have a few more cats in your house, I see. And you can also say, you have more cats in your house than you did before. But in the negative side, you would only say, I don't have any more cats. I don't have any more cats in my house than I did last year. But saying I don't have a few more cats, no, that sounds bad. Don't listen to that. I don't have any more cats in my house than I did last year. And Gabe, I don't have any more cats in my house than I did last year. I only have 3.
Interestingly, I have a few more cats in my house than I did last year.
That's right.
Which is creating some interesting situations.
Personality conflicts. So, Gabe, you now have a few cats in your house now, yes?
I do. I have 3 cats now. I don't have a couple or just one. Now we're going to talk about a little versus any. Now, we use the phrase a little all the time, and a little is used in a positive statement. Whereas if we're going to say a negative, we're going to use any. And then a lot of times, if we're going to ask a question, we're going to use any a lot more often than we use a little.
Hey, you want some of this mango, bro?
Sure. I like a little tahini on mine. Do you have any?
No, I don't have any tahini. I do have some lime. left from the chicken I was having earlier today.
Sure, I'll take a little lime, thanks. Also, some of that leftover chicken, please.
No problem.
So, again, a little is a positive statement. I have a little food. It would just mean I have some food. I have a little food. If we're going to say I don't have food at all, we would use any. That's a negative. I don't have any food. We wouldn't say I don't have a little food under any circumstances that I can think of. But if you're going to ask a question, you could say, do you have any food? And I suppose it wouldn't sound wrong to say, do you have a little food? I certainly have heard people at the table say, hey, do you have a little pepper? They're just trying to ask if we have pimienta. But traditionally, we would say, do you have any pepper?
Si te gusta escuchar nuestros episodios y si usas Android, puedes bajar nuestra app Tenaz Intermediate English gratis de Google Play. Brindamos enlaces en nuestra página noterrindaspodcast.us a todas las apps disponibles en ese momento. Si quieres practicar tu inglés con nosotros, visita noterrindaspodcast.us y haz un clic en la pestaña para aplicaciones. Gracias.
Sí, gracias.
So in our next topic, we want you to notice that we use the article a or we say we don't say a. That's the letter A. We use the article or a before the determiner sometimes, and sometimes we don't. And it changes the meaning of the word, which is, probably pretty difficult to figure out on your own. So we want to tell you about this and then have you listen for it. So we're going to talk first about a few versus few. So a few means some, but few means not many. So if I have a few apples, I've got multiple apples. But if I have few apples, sugiere una falta. Es que necesito más manzanas que tengo. So once you put that in there, a few, it kind of goes from a flavor of negativity to something more neutral. All right, so listen to these two sentences and feel how different you react to this young lady in these two situations. Oh, look at Marcia. She has a few things to do today, and then she'll have some free time. Oh, look at Penelope. She has few things to do today. So she's lonely, Gabe, and bored. Right? I have a few options for dinner, but I'm thinking I'll make Italian food. He has only bread and ketchup and like a tomato with a packet of hot sauce in his kitchen. So he has very few options. He has few options for dinner. So hopefully you can feel the difference between few and a few.
And it occurred to me with your apple example that you could literally use them in the way of going to say, I have enough apples to make a pie. So I might say, I have a few apples, so I'm thinking I might make a pie, right? I might make an apple pie.
Yeah.
But if you said, hey, can you make an apple pie? And I said, sorry, I have few apples, would mean I don't have enough apples to make the pie.
That's right.
Well, let's talk about a little, which we'd say a little, versus little. So a little, like a few, kind of means some, whereas little means not very much. So I might say, I put a little salt on my pizza, right? I put a little salt would mean I put some salt on my pizza. But if I said, Joe had little salt, so his food was always too sweet. So if he had little salt, it would mean he had not very much salt.
Yeah, my wife has a heart condition in reality, in real life. And so she puts little salt on our food. That's a really accurate example. I put a little salt on my food. She puts little salt on her food. The second one means she's trying to restrict how much salt that she puts on things as a decision that she is making.
That's a good example, a good contrast. If Greg puts a little salt on his food, it means he's putting some salt on his food, like I do. But if she uses little salt, then we're thinking, gosh, she's putting hardly any salt at all. So we can look at some other examples here. So just listen for the difference between a little and little. Diana had a little time to talk, so I asked her about her father. Right? She had a little time to talk, which means she had some time to talk. On the other hand, if I said, Diana made it clear she had little time to talk, so I didn't ask her about her father. Right? She made it clear she had little time to talk, so she had not very much time, so I didn't want to bother her about her father.
Wow, that's so clear.
All right.
If you have a little time, you can do something in that context. But if you have little time, you probably can't do it. You're rushing to some other place, or the other person is going to rush to communicate with you because you have little time.
That's right. We could look at another example. I had a little money left after I bought the bicycle I wanted, so I got some food at a local restaurant. I had a little money left. I had some money left. On the other hand, if I said, I had little money when I was in college, so I never ate at restaurants. If I had little money, that would mean I didn't have very much money.
Yeah, it does not mean that your money has been shrunk like my shirt in the gym. Little money means not much money. It doesn't mean small money.
Moneditas.
Yeah, moneditas. So let's hear a conversation that kind of sews all this together. Can you recognize some of the principles that we've been using in the explanation in this conversation?
Hey, I have a few things I need to do today on the other side of town. Do you want to come with me?
You know, I would really like to, Gabe, but I have little choice but to finish this project today. I promised my wife I'd have these shelves put up by the end of the day.
I guess that leaves you with few options but to work on your project.
Actually, will you have a little time this evening? I could use another person to help me with the very last step of the project.
Yeah, I should have a few minutes, but I want to be home by 9 because I'm feeling a little under the weather.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling well. But, I get few opportunities to have extra help with projects, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd come by this evening.
Okay. Well, one way you could show a little appreciation would be to buy me a pizza after we finish the project.
I don't have pizza, but I have some asparagus left over from yesterday. You can just have a little of that.
Just saying, this is why you have so few friends.
All right, it's time for our quiz. ¿Qué se queda en el cerebro hoy? What's sticking with you today? This was what we talked about today. There are very small changes in how these are used, but it changes the meaning dramatically. Let's see if our listeners can tell the difference. So if I wanted to say that Gabe didn't have much free time, I could say, A. Gabe had a little free time. B. Gabe had little free time. C. Gabe had a few free time. Or D. Gabe had few free time.
So I know it's not C or D because we would never say that someone had few free time or even a few free time. So we know it's either A or B. So we have Gabe had a little free time or Gabe had little free time. So we're trying to say that I didn't have very much free time. So it would actually be B. Gabe had little free time.
That is correct.
And unfortunately true.
All right. Another way of saying I have some friends in Honduras would be I have few friends in Honduras. I have little friends in Honduras. I have a few friends in Honduras. I have a little friends in Honduras.
Okay. Only one of those sounded natural. If I said I have few friends in Honduras, that would mean that I didn't have very many friends. Like it would be like a negative thing. If I said I have little friends in Honduras, that would mean I had amigos chiquitos. If I said I have a few friends in Honduras, that would be that. I'm going to say that's the correct answer because I have a few friends in Honduras is really the same as saying I have some friends in Honduras. And of course, we would never say I have a little friends in Honduras under any circumstances just because it doesn't make any sense.
That is correct. And might I add, I have few friends in Honduras. You know, it sounds like you did something evil in Honduras, Gabe. You, I don't know, borrowed money from people and didn't pay it back. So caught the harbor on fire or something. Yeah.
Which of these would likely be said by a store employee? A, we don't have any milk. B, we don't have some milk. C, we don't have few milk.
Only one of those sounds good in my ear, and it's A. We don't have any milk. We don't have any. We don't have any. We don't have any milk.
Good.
The others sound like nonsense to me.
Well, you did great. I'm just sorry that you're only going to get one question, so you don't have the opportunity to catch up with me and tie.
That's right. It's 2-1. It's 2-1. We sure do want to thank our patrons. If you would like to become a patron of this show and help us to develop more episodes, please go to www.patreon.com/No Te Rindas Podcast. And there you can see the benefits of patronage. We also want to shout out a few cities that have been listening to our show recently. We have several new American cities to shout out today. How about Lawrenceville, Georgia, where I used to live? Seattle, Washington, Dallas, Texas, Portland, Oregon. We also want to thank the city of Buenos Aires, where we have a couple of repeat listeners who are coming back time after time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. We also want to remind you to leave us a review or a rating. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, we would love it if you would take some time and leave a review for our podcast. No matter what application you use to listen to your podcast, we'd be grateful for a review. It does help us enormously to reach more listeners.
And remember that we'll have a blog article very soon that will explain the differences between these through lots more examples. So, we gave you examples in the show, but you will be able in the article to hear different examples of these determiners through all kinds of TV shows and videos and movies and such as that. Check it out. www.noterrindaspodcast.us
Well, Greg, I sure am glad I don't really have to put up any shelves or anything like that, or even help you with it. And I especially am happy I don't have to eat nasty asparagus.
Yes, I feel very lucky that I don't have only hot sauce packets, a tomato, and maybe some bread. I have more than a few options as to what to eat in the house tonight.
And the truth is, Greg doesn't have few friends. He has a lot of friends.
Well, as I get older, we have fewer friends, but they are closer friends, right? And you start off when you're young with lots and lots of acquaintances, and then by the time you get into your segunda edad,
well, thank you. I can't wait to see you here in about a week, and it should give us lots of ideas for future episodes. Love you. Bye-bye.
Sounds great. Love you.